I just want to let everyone know that I have commissions open as well as a Ko-fi page. The link is in the description as well as my channel bio. If you are interested and able to support, please check them out. Love you guys. Okay, on to the video.
Hey y'all, my name is Kim. It's been a while, but in my absence, I've decided to sit down and really think. How do you even go about making OCs in the first place? My current lineup of characters mostly consists of OCs that I have made years ago, with a few updates here and there. While I have made a few new OCs in the past couple years, I consider myself mostly out of practice. However, after this year's art fight, I have found a new curiosity when it comes to the actual process of making OCs. Let's start with a short history lesson. Where do OCs even come from? The word OC is actually an acronym, which stands for Original Character, but where does it actually originate from? Unfortunately, there really isn't any hard proof on when the phrase was first officially used, but many cite DeviantArt as its first spotting way back in the early 2000s. As far as what counts as an OC or original character can be kind of finicky, with some sites centering the definition around a fictional character created by an individual, which is not tied to any pre-existing media, canon, or company. Although, there is a such thing as fan OCs, but we'll get to them later. I plan on mainly focusing on the different avenues you can go into creating an original character. Please note that this video is meant to be very broad in the topics we will cover. Like, I won't be going into too much depth on storytelling or character design. There is a lot that goes into creating a new character, and I don't want to overwhelm anyone if it's their first time or they're just getting back into character creation. So, let's get started with the first section. Let's get these ideas rolling, okay? Think about your favorite pieces of media, like video games, books, TV shows, comics, podcasts, or the back of your body wash bottle because you didn't realize you'd be stuck on the toilet, but it's too late to get up to get your phone because you're like smack dab in the middle of shit. Literally any thought or interesting scenario that has ever come to mind, this is its time to shine, okay? Don't think too hard though. Like, it's okay if it's stupid. I actually want it to be stupid. Like, some of my best ideas come from things that I was like, oh, that would be so funny. And then it turned out to actually be kind of interesting. Like, there's interesting things in stupidity. That's one of the main takeaways we're gonna get from this. And while you're doing this, I really encourage you to like start writing this stuff down and picking out pieces of things that you like whether it be your pieces of media, and like specifically choose what sticks out to you. My reasoning behind this is pretty simple. It keeps you engaged with your OCs. I can understand this obsession of wanting to make your character seem like super in-depth and interesting and something that's never been done before, but I hate to burst your bubble, that's impossible. It has probably been done before. You might as well have fun with the concept. So in building a foundation on something you're actually able to engage with, set yourself up for success later down the line. So the last thing you want to do is make a character you have very little fun or interest in making.
What is this?
What do you mean, what is this? I'm a custom wood burner. I'm custom wood burning. You clicked on custom wood burning. Did you think I'd be sitting here farting around? No, I'm custom wood burning.
My bad. Oh shoot, my bad. Hey.
Depending on how much you had either written down or thought up in the top of your noggin, you might be able to create a character based off what you already have, or you may have quite a few ideas and then feel overwhelmed again. Don't worry, luckily for you, time is on your side. I like to dub this section of the process clay molding or custom wood burning. This is where you start narrowing down all of your ideas based on a set criteria I'll list out right now. First up is which idea interests or excites me the most. This is the one you're most enthusiastic about in this moment. You can feel yourself getting excited and you feel a lot of more branching ideas sprouting off of this one. Don't spend so much time on something that you're not really that passionate about or can't think of something yet. You can always revisit these other ideas later. My next point is, what do I feel is the easiest for me to execute at the moment? There are some ideas that I personally come up with that turned out to be too complicated, so I then have to simplify them. There's no shame in doing that, and I can always revise it to be more complex later on. This next one is more so catered to those who may have a few OCs already, and that is there something I've never done before? I am a little guilty of not listening to this piece of advice. I do have my comfort zone. I really like making cutie patootie OCs. I cannot help myself. However, it kind of causes your characters, especially if you're writing like an actual story, to be kind of samey, and it can be a little boring. So I really implore you to kind of think outside of the box and what you're usually used to. This last piece of advice is very take it or leave it. So if it doesn't apply, but let it fly. But I know for me it does. And that is there enough content? Just to be clear, I don't mean is the story fleshed out enough. We're not even at the story. I more so mean, is there enough material for you to work with this idea? And sometimes that answer might be no. Like, we'll think of something and we might have to come back to it later because we don't really have enough substance. So that's really what I'm asking. Is there enough substance for you to create this character? Again, this whole list is very rough and abstract, so just do what works best for you.
Where are we going?
I'm taking you home.
This is not the way to my house, Kurt.
Oh, no, not your home. My home.
Remember when I said that brainstorming kind of serves as your foundation? Yeah, well, I lied. Kind of. Think of that brainstormy scenario idea as like the base of the house, aka your OC, and the next thing as the real bones of your house, because all the character designing whatnot is gonna break down into a tiny million pieces if your house don't got good bones. That's right, we're talking about setting. Depending on who you are, this is probably the most daunting yet most useful section if you decide to create other characters to go along with your initial OC, or if you were thinking about revising some old ones. Thinking about time period or even alternative universes such as like fantasy, sci-fi, a little mix and match of the themes, there is one show, it's called Sex Education. It's a really good show. But one of the things I like about it is that the costuming is very 80s inspired, even though the characters themselves have like social media and like phones. So I think that can also be really exciting to do with your characters. Although I do know that sometimes world building or even thinking of setting can be a little hard, which is where the idea of fan OCs come in, aka placing a character into a pre-existing world. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Most of my OCs started out as My Hero Academia OCs, so don't feel like you need to keep them in that same universe the whole time. And for a cooler example, I Want to Eat Your Guts by Ari and Shockwave Animation. They used to be based off of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, Kakyoin, and Jotaro. So the sky is the limit, guys. You can really build off of anything. We are finally getting to my favorite section. Holy sh! I really like character designing a very normal amount. As someone who likes fashion styles and whatnot, getting to experiment with different styles through characters is super fun. With that being said, I tend to make human characters. So this all depends on what type of characters you decide to create and seeing where that takes you. But don't worry, I did think about my furries, feral, anthro character. You are not forgotten, furry community. There are pretty obvious websites you can use like Pinterest, but I also decided to link a few alternative options in the description. Some websites like Refern or Cosmos function very similar to Pinterest, except I think its search engine shows different kinds of options because I know Pinterest has a habit of cycling the same thing. Like, it doesn't really show you anything new. The other website I have linked is specifically for my furry and feral creators actually. It is a card which consists of unique unique looking species of animals. I don't know how helpful it is, but I did click around through it, and I think it's also pretty helpful, as well as if you're somebody who makes like different types of creatures. One of the biggest things, regardless of what kind of character you're creating, is to really remember where your setting takes place. For example, if your character is set in a post-apocalyptic world, why is bro dripped out? I'm not saying that you have to completely scrap ideas because it doesn't necessarily fit into the aesthetic of the world that you built. It's just really consider the little details you decide to add on characters before just placing them randomly, you know? And remember, sometimes visuals speak more than words, so when you are designing these characters, really think about their background.
Okay, make sure it's on low.
I'm gonna be honest with you, this section can actually be about storytelling, but there is a reason why I decided not to call it that. I am not the best at writing. Actually sitting down and writing a backstory for my characters can be very difficult for me, especially when you are starting a world from scratch. So what I end up doing is thinking about the most mundane, boring, everyday things that my OCs may do. Okay, so an example of this is that I have an OC who has dyed hair, Minji, and I just sometimes think about like what her process is of dyeing her hair, because her hair is green, but she has brown hair. I know that sounds like the most dumb thing ever, but sometimes just spending time with my OC helps me think about who they are as a character, and if they were a real person. Not to plug my own video, of course, but I did have a video separately made that focuses on fun things to do with your OCs that actually does have a lot to do with character building. So that's why this video section is so short. Okay, let's move on to the final thing. Congratulations! You have finished completing your very first or newest edition of your OC.
But
Let me try that again.
but Cameron, what should I do with the OC that I've made?
There's a lot that you could do with your OCs. You can set up a comic, make a website that's like filled with your OC's lore. There is actually a few websites out there. I believe Character Hub and my personal favorite, Unveil, allows you to house your characters. Also, there's Toy House. I mean, the possibilities of what to do with your characters are sort of endless, and there's also that video I made if you want to check it out. But that's basically all from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you stayed this long, I seriously appreciate you. Again, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I had an initial plan to celebrate, but I ended up scrapping that idea because only 2 people sent me an email. So I'd have to rethink what to do when it comes to that. But yeah, thank you for engaging with my content, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!